Working in hot conditions. You're working hard and it's hot. Your clothes are soaked with sweat. You feel lightheaded and you're very thirsty. You could be suffering the first signs of heat stress. Working in hot conditions can be uncomfortable and hazardous. The main objectives of this session are to prepare you to work safely in hot conditions and reduce the risk of heat-related illness. We'll discuss why working in hot conditions can be hazardous to your health and safety, types of heat-related illness, and measures to prevent heat stress on the job. How does your body attempt to cope with the heat? Your body has a natural cooling system that is used to protect internal organs from increases in temperature. When blood temperature exceeds 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, your heart rate increases and blood circulates closer to the surface of the skin. This allows heat to transfer out of the blood and into the cooler environment outside the body. But this heat transfer is only effective if the temperature outside the body is less than inside. If your body can't lose enough heat by transferring heat out of the bloodstream, your brain will signal the sweat glands to start sending fluids to the surface of the skin. Once the sweat reaches the surface of the skin, the sweat will be evaporated off the skin by the hot, dry environment outside the body. The body's heat will leave with the evaporated sweat. But when humidity is high, the body's cooling system isn't very effective. High heat prevents cooling through heat transfer out of the bloodstream, and high humidity prevents sweat from evaporating. The result can be heat-related illness. The heat equation is a simple way to determine the circumstances under which the body's cooling system could fail and you could face a high risk of heat illness. Basically, a work environment with high temperature and high humidity where physical work is being performed is a prime breeding ground for heat-related illness. In addition to temperature and humidity, you may also have to take into account factors such as radiant heat and air velocity. Radiant heat has a significant impact on the amount of stress your body could face in a given work environment. For example, working around ovens, molten metals, furnaces, and other sources of high heat adds to the effect of the temperature in the outside environment, compounding the heat stress you face. Air velocity. Stale, stagnant air or hot wind increase heat stress, whereas a cool breeze reduces heat stress. There are a number of factors that affect your sensitivity to heat. Acclimatization, or getting used to heat, is a very important factor. The body can take 5 to 7 days to condition itself to working in the heat. If you're not used to it, you're much more susceptible to heat-related illness. Age. Older workers are often at greater risk than younger workers. People who are overweight, are pregnant, have had inadequate rest, or are just physically unfit are more likely to be affected by heat stress, as is a person who is sick. People have different rates of metabolism. Those who sweat at a higher rate are less susceptible to heat stress. Finally, consuming too much alcohol after work contributes to dehydration and can affect the way a person's body responds to working in hot conditions the next day. Different kinds of heat-related illness. Heat rash is the least severe of the heat-related illnesses, but although it's only a minor health problem, heat rash can be very uncomfortable. Heat rash typically occurs in hot and humid environments where the sweat can't evaporate off the body. Heat rash symptoms include a red, bumpy rash that often itches. Scratching the rash may cause further complications if scratched skin becomes infected due to exposure to dust and dirt. Itching related to heat rash can sometimes make sleeping difficult too. Heat rash can be prevented by taking regular breaks in a cool place when it's very hot and humid so that your body stops sweating for a while. Keeping your skin as dry and clean as possible also helps prevent or treat heat rash. Another relatively minor type of heat-related illness is called heat syncope, better known as fainting. It generally occurs when a person has not yet become used to or acclimated to working in a hot environment. It also usually happens when someone is doing a job that doesn't require much movement and is just standing still in the heat most of the time. What happens then is that the blood pools in the legs, which reduces the amount of blood that goes to the brain. This results in fainting. You can usually recover quickly from a fainting spell by lying down in a cool, shady area for a while with legs slightly raised. Fainting in hot weather can be prevented by moving around a little rather than standing still for long periods. Moving around helps maintain adequate blood volume in your brain. A more severe form of heat-related illness is known as heat cramps. Heat cramps are painful muscle cramps. Tired muscles are the most susceptible. So if you're not in good physical shape or are not used to the work, you're more susceptible to heat cramps. Heat cramps are usually caused when the body's salt, which is lost by sweating, is not replaced. Drinking water will replace the liquid that your body loses, but may not adequately replace the salt that was lost. Drinking electrolyte liquids such as sports drinks can help prevent or treat heat cramps. Severe cases of heat cramps may require a visit to the doctor, who will use an intravenous saline solution to replace salt. Serious heat-related illnesses. Heat exhaustion. The second most serious type of heat illness is the result of a loss of fluid or salt, or both, through sweating. The victim does not take in enough liquids and electrolyte solutions when working to maintain adequate levels of fluid and salt. Symptoms include weakness, dizziness, and nausea. The victim's skin feels clammy and the complexion is pale and flushed. Body temperature may also be above normal. Treatment includes resting in a cool place and drinking electrolyte fluids. You should also loosen or remove heavy clothing and try to cool victims by fanning them, spraying them with a cool mist of water, or applying a cool, wet cloth. Severe cases of heat exhaustion may result in vomiting or loss of consciousness. Call for emergency assistance immediately if first aid treatment does not help and a victim starts vomiting or loses consciousness. Remember that severe cases of heat exhaustion can advance quickly to heat stroke. Heat stroke is the most serious type of heat illness. It occurs when the body's natural cooling mechanism stops functioning and the victim stops sweating. Body temperature may reach 106 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. Symptoms include very hot and dry skin. The victim will also become confused or delirious and may begin to suffer convulsions or seizures and collapse or lose consciousness. Without immediate medical treatment, a victim could die. Call for an ambulance as soon as you notice symptoms of heat stroke. While waiting for help to arrive, move the victim to a cool spot. If the victim is conscious, provide plenty of fluids. Never give liquids to an unconscious person. Remove any heavy outer clothing. Keep the victim cool by soaking clothing with cool water or spraying with mists of water. If ice packs are available, place them under the victim's armpits and in the groin area. Fanning will also help. Remember that heat stroke is a life-threatening illness and that untreated heat exhaustion can quickly lead to heat stroke. Working in hot conditions can cause heat-related illness, and if you're not careful, it can also cause accidents on the job. Because heat affects the body's cooling system and reduces blood flow to the brain, muscles, and other organs, you can experience a decrease in strength and an increase in fatigue. Fatigue can result in inattentiveness to job hazards and slow responses in emergencies. Heat can also reduce your ability to understand instructions or retain information. Even a short-term reduction in mental sharpness could result in an accident if you haven't made a correct or safe decision when dealing with a job or task. Heat usually makes people uncomfortable and irritable. This can cause a worker to become easily frustrated, cut corners, or ignore safety procedures. This type of behavior is an open invitation to an accident. There are also other risks that can contribute to accidents. For example, sweaty hands can drop tools, or fogged-up safety glasses can cause you to trip and fall. As you can see, working in hot conditions can be hazardous for many different reasons. One way to deal with hot conditions in the workplace and reduce the risk of heat-related illness and accidents is to use engineering controls such as ventilation to remove the heat from the building, spot cooling to remove the heat before it reaches nearby workers, and focused air conditioning, which blows cool air over a workstation or area where a worker will be stationed throughout the day. Even outdoor workers can benefit from spot cooling by using a fan and water mist system like the ones used by professional football teams during summer practice seasons. One final word about prevention. The importance of drinking enough fluids cannot be overemphasized when you work in hot conditions. Your body expels a great amount of fluid and salt when you work hard and sweat a lot. Drink plenty of water all day. Drink electrolyte-balanced fluids and avoid drinking caffeinated beverages.